Hello everyone, welcome back to my fluency journey. And in this live session, we will continue our book reading session of Siddhartha. And yeah, so let's continue. And today's chapter is Awakening. And in this live session, we will also learn some vocabulary, some core values, some learnings, some teachings of Siddhartha and Gautama Buddha, and how to apply these values or how to interpret or read between the lines, and what are the core values which we have to develop in ourselves to proceed further and to succeed in our careers and to succeed in anything that we want. What are these core values which apply to all the fields? For example, take action and consistency, habits. They are like core values. If you apply in any of the, if you apply these core values in any of the fields available in the world, like, then you can proceed further and you can reach success, or you can be happy, or you can enjoy the journey, right? I'm currently enjoying the journey and I'm currently following that path, I'm following that path, right? Yeah, so let's continue. Okay. Siddhartha opened his eyes and looked around. A smile filled his face and a feeling of awakening from long dreams flowed through him. Okay, what is the last? And I was willing to dissect myself and peel off all of its layer to find the core of all peace in its unknown interior. The Atma, life, the divine part, the ultimate part, but I have lost myself in this process. Okay. He told that we do everything, we do everything other than exploring ourselves. So we need to explore ourselves. Okay, we need to explore ourselves, we need to understand ourselves, what we like, what we do not like, what we feel, what we do not feel. Like, so we need to understand. Don't just do whatever everyone is doing. Don't be ship herding. Don't do ship herding. Just go explore yourself, what your test is. So what you like, for example, in like anything. So yeah. So now Siddhartha opened his eyes and looked around. A smile filled his face and a feeling of awakening from long dreams flowed through him, from his head down to his toes. So be yourself. So yeah. And mountains flowed through him from his head down to his toes, and it was not long before he walked again, walked quickly like a man who knows what he has got to do. Oh, he thought, taking a deep. Oh, he thought, taking a deep breath. Now I would not let Siddhartha escape from me again. No longer do I want to begin my thoughts and my life with Atma and with the suffering of the world. I do not want to kill and dissect myself any longer to find a secret behind the words. Okay, let me start this Pomodoro so that it will be, yeah, good for me also, and for you also. Hmm. It was not long before he walked again, walked quickly like a man knows what he has got to do. Oh, he thought, taking a deep breath. Now I would not let Siddhartha escape from me again. No longer do I want to begin my thoughts and my life with Atma and with the suffering of the world. I do not want to kill and dissect myself any longer to find a secret behind the ruins. Neither Yoga Veda shall teach me anymore, nor Atharva Veda, nor the as ascetics. Ascetics means live a simpler life. Nor any kind of teachings. I want to learn from myself. I want to be my student. Want to get know myself. The secret of Siddhartha. This is the secret. He looked around as if he was seeing the world for the first time. Beautiful was the world, colorful was the world, strange and mysterious was the world. Here was blue, here was yellow, here was green, the sky and the river flowed. The forest and the mountains were rigid. All of it was beautiful. All of it was mysterious and magical. And in its midst was he, Siddhartha, the awakening one, on the path to himself. All this yellow and blue river and forest entered Siddhartha for the first time through the eyes. Was no longer a spell of Mara, was no longer the wheel of Maya, was no longer a pointless and coincidental diversity of mere appearances, despicable to the deeply thinking Brahmin, despicable. Okay, let's des, despicable, when deserving hatred. Means unpleasant. Strong, strong feeling of dislike. Okay, deeply thinking Brahmin, who scorns diversity, who seeks unity. Blue was blue, river was river, and if also in the blue and the river in Siddhartha, the singular and the divine lived hidden. So it was still that very divinity way and purpose to be here. Yellow, to here yellow, here blue, the sky, their forest, and their Siddhartha. The purpose and the essential properties were not somewhere behind the things, they were in them and everything. Okay. How deaf and stupid have I been, he thought, walking swiftly along. When someone reads a text, want to discover its meaning, will not scorn the simple analytics and call them deceptions, coincidence, and worthless shells. But he will read them, he will study and love them little by little. But I wanted to read the book of the world and the book of my own being I have for the sake of a meaning I had anticipated before I read. I anticipate. Regard as expected. Afraid, scorned, feel or express content. Show content. The symbols and letters I call the visible world a deception. Call my eyes and my tongue coincidental and worthless forms without substance. No, this is over. I have awakened. I have indeed awakened and have not been born before this very day. In thinking these thoughts, Siddhartha stopped once again, suddenly as if there was a snake lying on the path in front of him, because suddenly he had also become aware of this. He was indeed like someone who had just woken up, or like a newborn baby. He had to start his life new and start again at the very beginning. When he had left this very morning from the grove, Jetavana, the grove of that exalted one, exalted means highly noble person. One already awakening, already on the path towards himself, he had every intention regarded as natural and took for granted that he took for granted. Don't took for except that he, after years as an ascetic, would return to his home and his father. But now only in but now only in this path, only in this moment, when he stopped as if a snake was lying on us. But he also walked with this realization, but I am no longer the one I was. I am no ascetic anymore. I am not a priest anymore. I am no Brahmin anymore. Whatever would I do at home and at my father's place, study, make offerings, practice meditation, all this is over. All of this is no longer alongside my path. The motionless Siddhartha remained standing there, and for the time of one moment and breath, his heart felt cold. He felt a cold in his chest as a small animal, a bird or a rabbit would, when seeing how alone he was. For many years he had been without home and had felt nothing. Now he felt it. Still, even in the deepest meditation, he had been his father's son, had been a Brahmin of a high caste, a cleric. Now he was nothing but Siddhartha, the awakened one. Nothing else was left. Deeply he inhaled, and for a moment he felt cold and shivered. Nobody was so alone as he was. There was no nobleman who did not belong to the nobleman, no worker that did not belong to the workers, and found refuge with them, shared their lives, spoke their language. No Brahmin who would not be regarded as a Brahmin and live with them. No ascetic who would not find his refuge in the caste of the Samanas. And even the most forlorn hermit in the forest was just one and alone. Forlorn, hopeless. Person who would choose to live alone. The forest was not just one and alone, he was also surrounded by the place he belonged to. He also belonged to a caste in which he was at home. Govinda had become a monk, and 1,000 monks were his brothers. Wore the same robe as he, believed in his faith, spoke his language, but he, Siddhartha, where did he belong? With whom would he share his life? Okay, where did he belong? Where did he belong? With whom would he share his life? Whose language would he speak? Out of this moment, when the world melted away all around him, when he stood alone, like a star in the sky, out of this moment of cold despair, Siddhartha emerged more herself than before, more firmly concentrated. He felt this had been the last tremor of the awakening, the last struggle of this birth, and it was not long until he walked again in long strides. I started to proceed swiftly and impatiently, heading no longer for home, no longer to his father, no longer back. Second part dedicated to William Kurdert, my cousin in Japan. Okay, now we are on second chapter, yeah, which is dedicated to Wilhelm Kundert, my cousin in Japan, by author. Okay, Kamala, Kamal. Okay, the next chapter is, or I think, yeah, the first chapter of the second part is Kamal. Yeah, it is Kamal. I don't know. It's Kamal. I think it has to be Kamal because in Hindi, Kamal means magic or some very interesting thing happens or some unbelievable thing happened to you. Then it we say that it's a Kamal. A Kamal happened to me, or yeah, Kamal ho gaya bhai, like that, right? Siddhartha learned something new on every step of his path, for the world was transformed and his heart was enchanted. He saw the sun rising over the mountains with their forests and setting over the distant beach with its palm trees. At night, he saw the stars in the sky in their fixed position and the crescent of the moon floating like a bird in the blue. He saw trees, stars, animals, clouds, rainbows, rocks, herbs, flowers, stream, and river. The glistening dew in the bushes in the morning, distant high mountains which were blue and pale, birds sang and bees buzzed, the wind whispered through the rice field. All of this a thousandfold and colorful had always been there. Always the sun and the moon had shone, river had roared, and bees had buzzed. Glistening, yeah, what is glistening? See, glistening, shining with a sparkling light. So yeah, but in former times, all of this had been nothing more to Siddhartha than a fleeting, lasting for a very short time. Yeah, short, okay, short-lived. A scepter wheel before his eyes, looked upon in distrust, destined to be penetrated and destroyed by thought, since it was not the essential existence, since this essence lay beyond on the other side of the visible. But now his liberated eyes stayed on the sight he saw and became aware of the visible, sought to be at home in this world, did not search for the true essence, did not aim at the world beyond. Beautiful was this world, looking at it thus without searching, thus simply, thus childlike. Beautiful were the moons and the stars. Beautiful was the stream and the banks, the forest and the rocks, the goat and the gold beetle, the flower and the butterfly. Beautiful and lovely it was. Thus to walk through the world, thus to walk through the world, thus childlike, thus awakened, thus open to what is near, thus without distress. Definitely the sun burned the head. Definitely the shade of the forest cooled him. Definitely the stream and the cistern is the waterproof receptacle for holding liquids. Early domestic and agricultural use. A reservoir. The pumpkin and the banana tasted. Short were days, short the nights. Every hour sped swiftly away like a sail on the sea, and in the sail one ship full of treasures, full of joy. Oh, now he is enjoying. Before he just avoiding. Before he was avoiding them. Siddhartha saw a group of apes moving through the high canopy of the forest, high in the branches, and heard their savage, greedy song. Siddhartha saw a male sheep following a female one and mating with her in a lake of reeds. He saw the pike hungrily hunting for its dinner and propelling themselves away from it. In fear, wriggling and sparkling, the young fish jumped and rose out of the water. The scent of strength and patience came forcefully out of the hasty eddies of the water. which the pike steered up hunting, impetuously hunting. All of this had always existed, and he had not seen it. All of this had always existed, and he had not seen it. He had not been with it, and now he was it. He was with it. He was part of it. Light and shadow ran through his eyes. Stars and moon ran through his heart. Okay, what is reads? Read a tall friendly plant. Hasty. Done with excessive speed. Hasty is hurriedly. Quick. Speedy. Loop of current. Impetuously. Quickly and without thought. Okay. On the way, Siddhartha also remembered everything he had experienced in the garden, Jatavana, the teaching he had heard there, the divine Buddha, the farewell from Govinda, the conversation with the exalted one. Again, he remembered his own words. He had spoken to the exalted one every word, and with astonishment, he became aware of the fact that there he said things which he had not really known yet at this time. And what he had said to Gautama is the Buddha's treasure and secret was not the teaching but the inexpressible and not inexpressible and not teachable. But he had experienced in the hour of his enlightenment. It was nothing but this very thing he had gone to experience that he now began to experience. Now he had to experience as himself. Now he had to experience himself. It is true that he had already known for a long time that his self was Atma in its essence. Essence. Intrinsic value. Crux. Essence means crux. Okay. Wearing the same eternal characteristics as Brahman, but never had he really found this self. Because he had wanted to capture it into the net of thought. But the body definitely not being the self and not the spectacle of the senses, it was not also the thought, not the rational mind, not the learned wisdom, not the learned ability to draw conclusions and to develop previous thoughts into new ones. This world of thought was also still on this side and nothing but be achieved by killing the random self of the senses. If random self of thoughts and learned knowledge was fattened on the other hand, Both the thoughts as well as the senses were pretty things. The ultimate meaning was hidden behind both of them. Both had to be listened to, both had to be played with, both had neither to be scorned nor overestimated. From both the secret voices of the innermost truth had to be intuitively perceived. He wanted to strive for nothing. He wanted to strive for nothing except for what the voice commanded him to strive for. Well, for nothing except where the voice would advise him to. Why had Gautama at that time, in the hour of all hours, sat down under the Bodha tree, where the enlightenment hit him? He had heard a voice in his own heart, which had commanded him to seek rest in the which commanded him to seek rest in the tree, and he had neither offered self castigation self-castigation, offerings, ablutions, nor prayer, neither food nor drink, neither sleep nor dream. He had obeyed the voice. To obey like this, not an external command, only the voice to be ready like this. It was good, this was necessary, nothing else was necessary. Only the voice to be ready like this was good. Castigation. Uh, Punishment or self-punishment. Reprimand. In the night when he slept in the straw hut of a ferryman by the river. In the night when he slept in the straw hut of a ferryman by the river, Siddhartha had a dream. Govinda was standing in front of him, dressed in the yellow robe of an ascetic. Sad was how Govinda looked. Sadly he asked, "Why have you forsaken me?" At this he embraced Govinda, wrapped his arms around him and he pulled him close to his chest and kissed him. It was not Govinda anymore, but a woman, and a full breast poked out of the woman's dress, at which Siddhartha lay and drank the sweetly and strongly tasting milk from this breast. It tasted of woman and man, of sun and forest, of animal and flower, of every fruit, of every joyful desire. It intoxicated him and rendered him unconscious. When Siddhartha woke up, the pale river shimmered to the door of the hut, and in the forest the dark call of an owl resounded deeply and pleasantly. When the day began, Siddhartha asked his okay, we'll take some uh, 3 minute break. When the day began, Siddhartha asked his host, the ferryman, to get them across the river. The ferryman got him across the river on his bamboo raft, the white water shimmering richly in the light of the morning. This is a beautiful river, he said to his companion. Yeah, yeah, said the ferryman, a very beautiful river. I love it more than anything. Often I have listened to it, often I have looked into its eyes, and I have always learned from it. Much can be learned from a river. I thank you, my benefactor. Benefactor is a phonetic person who confers benefit. Help help a person. Helpers simply by benefactors. Spoke Siddhartha, disembarking on the other side of the river. Disembarking. Leave a ship. Get off. And leave on the other side of the. I have no gift I could give you for your hospitality, my dear, and also no payment for your work. I am a man without home, a son, Brahman, and a Samana. I did see it. Spoke very well, and I haven't expected any payment from you, and no gift which would be the custom for guests to be here. You will give him gift another time. Do you think so? Siddhartha amused. Do you think so? Surely this too I have known from the river. Everything comes back. You too, Samana will come back. No, farewell. Let your friendship be my reward. Remember me when you make offering to the gods. When you make offering to the gods. Smiling, departed. Siddhartha smiled, happy about the friendship and kindness of the ferryman. He is like Govinda, he thought. All I meet on my path are like Govinda. All are thankful, though they are the ones who has the right to receive things. All are submissive, all but like to be friend, or like to obey, thank little, like children are all people. At about noon he at about noon he came through a village in front of mud cottages. Children rolled about on streets playing with pumpkin seeds and seashells. Seashells screamed and wrestled, but they all timidly fled from the unknown Samana. At the end of the village, the path led through a stream, and by the side of the stream, a young woman was kneeling and washing clothes. When Siddhartha greeted her, she lifted her head and looked up at him with a smile, so that he saw the white in her eyes glistening. He called out a blessing to her, as it is the custom among travelers, and asked how far he still had to go to reach the large city. Then she got up and came to him, her wet mouth shimmering beautifully in her young face. She exchanged humorous banter with him, banter, but playful, friendly exchange of teasing remarks. Asked whether he had eaten already, whether it was true that someone slept alone in forest at night and were not allowed to have any woman with them. While talking, she put her foot on his right one. She put she put her left foot on his right one and made a movement as a woman does who want to initiate that kind of sexual pleasure with a man, with which the textbooks call climbing a tree. She put her left foot on his right one and made a movement. Okay. Siddhartha felt this blood heating up, and since in this moment he had to think of his dream again, he bent slightly down to the woman and kissed with his lips the brown nipple of her breast. Kissed with his lips. Looking up, he saw her face smiling, full of lust in her eyes, with contracted pupils, begging with desire. Siddhartha also felt desire and felt the source of his sexuality moving, but since he had never touched a woman before, he hesitated for a moment, while his hands were already prepared to reach out for her. And in this moment, he heard, shuddering with awe, the voice of his innermost self, and this voice said no. Then all charms disappeared from the young woman's smiling face. He no longer saw anything damp glance of a female animal in heat. Politely he patted her cheek, turned away from her, and disappeared away from the disappointed woman with light steps into the bamboo wood. On this day he reached the large city before the evening and was happy, for he felt the need of being among people. For a long time he had lived in the forest and the straw hut of the Ferryman in the forest and the straw hut for in which he had slept at night and had been the first roof over his head for a long time. Think we need that type of control. On this day, we reach. Okay. Before the city, in a beautiful French room, the traveler came across a small group of servants, both male and women, carrying baskets. In their midst, carried by four servants in the ornamental sedans, here sat a woman, the mistress, on red pillow under a colorful canopy. Siddhartha stopped at the entrance to the pleasure garden and watched the parade. Saw the servants, the maids, the baskets. Saw the sedan chair and saw the lady in it, and black hair which was made to tower high on her head. He saw a very fair, very delicate, very clever face, a brightly red mouth like a freshly cracked fig, eyebrows which were well bended and painted in high arc, smart and watchful dark eyes, a clear, tall neck, rising from a green and golden garment, resting fair hands, long and thin, with white gold bracelets on the wrists. Siddhartha saw how beautiful she was, and his heart rejoiced. He bowed deeply when the sedan chair came closer, and straightening up again, he looked at the fair, charming face. Read for a moment the smart eyes with the high arcs above, breathed and breathed in slight fragrance. He did not know. With a smile, the beautiful woman nodded for a moment and disappeared in the grove. And then the servant as well. Thus I am entering the city. Siddhartha thought with a charming omen. Omen means some event regarded as a portent of good omen. Yes. He instantly felt drawn into the grove, but he thought about it, and only now he became aware of how the servants and maids had looked at him at the entrance. How despicable, how distressful, how rejected, how despicable, despicable. Despicable, meaning deserving hatred. No, now rejecting. But he thought about it when he became aware of how the servants and maids looked at him with gentleness, how disgiving but not distrustful or rejecting. I am still a Saman, I thought I am still a skeptic and bigger. I am not remain like this. I must not remain like this. I will not be able to enter the grove like this. He he laughed. The next person who came along his path, he asked about the grove and for the name of the woman and was told that this was the grove of Kamala. This was the grove of Kamal or Kamala, I don't know. The famous Cartesian. On that aside from the grove, she owned a house in the city and Kamala. I think it's Kamala. And then he entered the city. Now he had a girl. Forcing while he allowed the city to suck him in, drifted through the floor of the street, stood still on the squares, rested on the stairs of the stone by the river. When evening came, he made friends with the barber's assistant, whom he had seen working the shade of arc in the building, whom he found again praying in the temple of Vishnu, to whom he told stories of Vishnu and Lakshmi among the boats by the river. He slept this night, and early in the morning, before the first customers came into his shop, he had the barber's assistant shave his beard and cut his hair, comb his hair, and anoint tea, smear, rub with oil. With fine oil. Then he went to take his bath in the river. When late in the afternoon, the beautiful Kamala approached her grove in Sadan chain. Siddhartha standing at the entrance made above and received the courtesan greetings, but the servant who walked to the very end of the train, who walked to the very end of a train, he motioned to him and asked him to inform his mistress that a young Brahmin wished to talk to her. After a while, the servant returned, asked him who had been waiting to follow him, conducted him, who was following him, without a word, into a pavilion where Kamala was lying in a couch, and left him alone with her. Weren't you already standing out there yesterday greeting me? Asked Kamala. You already standing out there yesterday greeting me? Asked Kamala. It's true that I have already seen and greeted you yesterday, but didn't you yesterday wear a beard and long hair and dust in your dust in your observed well? You have seen everything. You have seen Siddhartha, the son of a Brahmin, who has left his home to become a samana and who has been a samana for 3 years. But now I have left the path and have come into the city. The first one I met, even before I had entered the city, was you. To say this, I have come to you, O Kamala. You are the first woman whom Siddhartha is not addressing with his eyes turned to the ground. Never again do I want to turn my eyes to the ground. When I come across a beautiful woman, Kamala smiled and played with her fan of peacock feathers. Fan of peacock in ours. And only to tell me this, Siddhartha has come to me to tell you this and to thank you for being so beautiful. And if it doesn't displease you, Kamala, I would like to ask you to be my friend and teacher, for I know nothing yet of the art. So in the highest degree. Nothing of that art which you have mastered in the highest degree. At this, Kamala laughed aloud. Never before this happened to me, my friend, that a samana from the forest has come to me and wanted me, learn from me. Never before had this happened to me that a samana has come to me with long hair and old torn loincloth. Many young men come to me, also some Brahmins among them, but they come in beautiful clothes, they come in fine shoes, they have perfume in their hair and money in their pouches. This is so similar. What the young men are like who come to me. What the young men are like who come to me. Siddhartha, already I am starting to learn from you. Even yesterday I was already taken off my bed, I combed her hair, her oil in my hair. There's little which is still missing in me. Oh, excellent. Fine clothes, fine shoes, money in my pouch. You shall know Siddhartha has set harder goal for himself than such trifles. And he has reached them now. Shouldn't I reach that goal which I have set for myself yesterday, to be your friend and to learn the joys of love from you? You will see that I'll learn quickly. Kamala, I have already learned harder things than what you're supposed to teach me, and now let's get it. Now let's get to it. You are not satisfied with Siddhartha as he is, with oil in his hair, but without clothes, without shoes, without money. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So yeah, that is it. So thank you so much. Now, bye bye. See you soon in the next meet. In the next live session, I learned a lot about like what he felt during, and how he have a very good self control over his senses. So, yeah, like to master, we have to master our emotions, and we have to master our we have to master one thing, which is self control. How to be a very controlled person, and how we can become a good person, and how to adapt in new different situations, how to become very adaptable in any kind of situation. For example, previously he was someone, now he turned entirely into a new person, and what he learned was, you have to be yourself, you need to understand yourself, and there is no such thing like become a samana or becoming. They are just ways to escape your identity, escape yourself. So you need to learn yourself and become yourself. So to understand yourself, you need to explore yourself, what you like. So now he is enjoying every he now he is enjoying everything around himself. For example, mountain, trees, rivers, animals, beautiful women, etc. So yeah, got it. Bye bye. See you soon. Please like, share, subscribe. It's like it's a very good thing, right?